Recording in progress.
Morning, everyone. I'll start with the usual statement that the meeting is
So, eitem gynta ar y cadeirydd at yr pwyllgor. A dan ni wedi cael nifer o ymwybyddiadau, ond dim ond un enw, felly gai gysawu Colonel Mendes.
Lost the translation.
Okay. Cyfieithydd Craig. Ryan.
yes. Brian, you're back again. You can hear me now, can you?
Yes, thank you.
Lovely, great, thank you. Okay. Can everybody hear okay now? Yes. Welcome to all here. Thank you for the honor. I haven't been here since the start of COVID over 3 years ago. Yeah. Right. Vice Chair. Once again. One name. So June Jones has been elected as Vice Chair. Welcome, June. Thank you. Any apologies, Anwen? Yes. Einir Williams. And Sarah Atkin. Anyone else? If not, any declarations of interest? Oh, I'd like to apologize. I'll have to leave the meeting slightly earlier. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Want to leave earlier? Yes, yeah. I'll leave the meeting early, I'm afraid. Thank you very much and welcome back, Elwyn. Thank you, Elwed. Minutes. I'd like to propose that they're correct. Would anyone like to second that? Everybody okay with that? Nothing to report, no. Okay, thank you. To appoint members to serve on the planning committee. As you can see, the chair, it's got the same griefs as usual. The names are all there. There's one empty seat in the group in the north. So are you happy to remain as you are? As the recommendation, would I like to propose that we remain as we are? Everybody agree with that? Yes, great. Thank you very much. We'll move on to Aberdyfi. David is here. Is it David? Welcome, David. I haven't met you before, but we've spoken on the phone, and your Welsh is improving a lot. Over to you.
Just one matter to draw members' attention to before I begin, which is the retraction of the Community Council's comments in respect to this application. Okay, so this item relates to a planning application by Aberdyfi Ice Cream Limited in relation to Unit 2 Wharf Gardens in Aberdyfi. The application is for the installation of bifold doors in lieu of a sliding window and extending A3 use to the outdoor area for consumption of food and drinks purchased from the property. The case has been referred to the planning committee in accordance with the scheme delegation because the building which is subject of this application is within the ownership of the authority. Application site is located centrally within the settlement of Abu Dhabi in the key area to the south of the A493. Land uses present here are primarily municipal and commercial in nature. Public toilets are situated to the northwest of the site. Abu Dhabi Outward Bound Centre and Yacht Club are located to the west, and the Harbour Master's office is located to the northeast. The application site is within the Abu Dhabi Conservation Area. Several local traditional buildings and 3 listed buildings are found to the north of the A493 along the designated retail area frontage. The estuary to the rear of the site is designated as a Ramsar site, NNR, SSSI, SAC and SPAR. Cyngor Gwynedd is the statutory harbour authority for the Abu Dhabi Harbour and the owner of the wharf. The application site comprises Unit 2 Wharf Gardens, a circa 8.5 metre squared undercover area to its rear and circa 14 metre area of harbour land to the rear of that. Unit 2 forms part of the Abu Dhabi Tourist Information Centre building owned by Arori National Park Authority. It is leased from the National Park by tenant Abu Dhabi Ice Cream Limited for A3 food and drink use to supplement the revenue income of the site. The rest of the building is operated by the National Park Authority for its original intended use. Tourist Information Centre building is a predominantly single-storey modern structure. Unit 2 is located at the southwest end of the building and is accessed from Seaview Terrace by a glazed door on its northwest front elevation. There's a sliding window hatch on its southeast rear elevation facing north. This is a northeast facing perspective looking towards the Harbour Master's office, and a southwest facing perspective looking towards the lifeboat station. The drawing of the rear elevation of Unit 2 illustrates the proposed 3 metre by 2.1 metre aluminium bifold doors, which would replace the current serving hatch at the rear. Bifold doors of the same description were approved in 2016 as part of the permission for part change of use of the building to A3 food and drink use. Circa 8.5 metre squared covered area to the immediate rear of Unit 2 already benefits from planning permission for A3 use, having been included within this red line boundary plan approved under the original part change of use application in 2016. That's as shown on the left. The principle of development where outdoor A3 use is concerned is therefore already established. The proposed floor plan on the right illustrates the only new element for which planning is sought, namely the proposed extension of A3 use to include a circa 7 metre by 2 metre area of wharf land to the rear of Unit 2. This 40 metre squared area is identifiable on the drawing as the area between the dashed red horizontal line and dashed black horizontal line above it. This modest extension of A3 use onto a circa 14 metre squared area of wharf land is considered to be acceptable, subject to compliance with relevant policies and guidance. Of particular relevance are development policies 1 and 6. Proposals considered to accord with these. Appearance, materials, form and siting of the aluminium bifold have already been approved under a previous permission. Aluminium is a high quality material and it is considered that bifold doors will be non-visually intrusive. The extension of A3 use onto this limited area of wharf land is considered an appropriate non-visually intrusive intensification of the use of this modern building, which is located amongst similar buildings, which would not be prominent and is compatible with the character of the In terms of access, the placement of removable furniture has agreement from the Harbour Master, so it appears no capacity issues exist in terms of sharing this space. Also relevant is strategic policy FF relating to the historic environment. Noted that the draft Abu Dhabi Conservation Area Management Plan identifies that the wharf is included within the conservation area because of its historical significance, not that of its incumbent modern buildings. It's considered that the proposals would not harm the historic footprint of the old wharf, the wider conservation area, or 3 nearby listed buildings on Llandovery Terrace. Also, the setting and significant views of which would not be harmed because the rear of Unit 2 is not easily visible from much of the conservation area or from these listed buildings. Also of relevance is strategic policy D relating to the natural environment. Given the proposal's nature and scale, it is considered unrealistic that suitable additional measures could be designed to make a meaningful enhancement proportionate to the proposal's scale and impact. When I say additional measures, a recent planning application by the authority, in that application, a preliminary ecological assessment was submitted, which proposed bird boxes to of the building as a whole. So it would not seem it'd be unrealistic to add to these interventions given the scale of this particular scheme. Natural Resources had no objection in relation to the environmental designations affecting the estuary. In terms of publicity, one objection was received. The objection related to past permissions regarding the removal of the public bench and resulting A3 use of the covered area, which should have already been granted permission. So therefore, no significant weight is attached to these concerns. So to conclude, this proposal relating to part of what is prominent public building conforms with development policies 1 and 6 and strategic policy F. The proposal is compatible in all regards with the capacity and character of the site and locality within which it is located. It is not unduly prominent and it reflects a good sustainable design standard. The proposal will not adversely affect heritage assets, including the conservation area, nearby listed buildings, or their setting and significant views. The proposal is considered to be wholly acceptable and it is recommended that planning permission is granted subject to the conditions recommended.
Thank you very much, Gavin. Would anyone like to propose on the seconder? Does anybody want to speak about the application? If not, we'll go straight to a vote. Oh, Brian wants to say something.
Can I ask a question about whether, because I didn't pick it up from the documents, whether there are any measures to constrain any drift from the area that may be designated further onto the wall?
Yes, there'll be a condition attached to the permission, which basically restricts the use to that 7 metre by 2 metre area. Obviously, if there's an exceedance of that area, then that would become a breach of condition.
Yeah, I was really thinking more about some sort of physical restraint, like a chain or something like that, because I could just envisage that somebody who has permission to put tables and chairs out there will try and increase it over time, just because that's the nature of business, isn't it? So the condition is great, but is that sufficient? And I don't know. Should the other one?
Well, was Sunny gallu.
We could, if somebody complained and because we had the constraint there, they don't need planning permission to put bollards or chain up anything. We could ask them that. We could put that in we could put that in, but maybe it's a little bit over the top, since we have already constrained the location. I think that enables us to follow up on any complaints, if any complaints come in. I think that should be enough.
Somewhere. Like sometimes you see pins or whatever put in.
We could put in what we call an advisory note at the end of the decision. You can hear me? You can hear me now? Is this a matter to the county council? Gita, is there somebody is translating? Can anybody? Yeah, you can hear me. Thank you, Joe. Yes, you should be able to hear me now, Brian. All right, okay. It's not a problem at my end. It's okay. That gives the wrong impression.
Thank you.
Thank you. Can you hear me now, Brian? Everything okay now?
Yeah.
Yes, lovely. Okay. I think we could add. No, I think it adding something here that says we. I don't think we should add any extra considerations, but maybe we could put in an advisory note at the end of the recommendations. Let's say that maybe you could put something, we'd advise you to put a bollard or a chain up to ensure that the location is maintained. It could just be an advisory note, really. If you're happy with that addition as a committee, it's up to you. I'd like to add it. It's on the key. I don't think there are any restrictions with putting any ropes up on the key as well. I don't know if we can put anything permanent on the key itself. We could add an advisory note. We could put it as an advisory note down. Yes, Jim. Jane. Oh, my hand's been up for a while. Jane wants to jump in here.
Just to add in respect to the actual condition, that's where the way it's been worded, if it was a case that there was a breach and they did extend out, we would be able to do a breach of condition notice, and that condition would be suitable enough, whereby with a breach of condition notice, there's no right of appeal, so they would have to comply with it, irrespective of any bolts or whatever. So I'd be quite comfortable we'd be able to do that.
John?
Thank you, John. John, but we've passed that as a recommendation. It's quite a narrow area. I know the area very well. The last thing we want are bollards or signs up here. It's an easy place for people to walk by at the moment. And if we put bollards up, there won't be any access for emergency vehicles because it's quite narrow there. So we've passed the recommendation, and I'd like to continue as we are. Thank you, John. Edgar. I don't know how, that they need to keep within the line. I think the street officer in Cyngor Gwynedd will deal with anyone who breaches that line. They're pulling back now on things like this. Right. Thank you very much. Anybody else like to say anything? If not, we'll go to a vote. Everybody who's in favour of approving the application? Nobody against. Okay, thank you very much. That's the only planning application we have to come down. So we'll move on now to the 106. Does anybody have a question on the first one? On page 21, 22? We move on to whether more than 13 weeks have elapsed. 24, any questions there for anyone? Or comments? 25? If not, we'll move on to delegated decisions for information. 27, 28, and 29. Page 30 and 31. An update on compliance, Jane. Jane will take this report.
Thank you, Chairman. Just a few thoughts to add to the report. Obviously, we're no longer a team anymore. Alice has headed off to leave at the beginning of this month, and obviously we wish her the best of luck and hope we're able to see her back in June 2025. In the meantime, with the lack of additional resource, we're going to continue with Prospero consultants that have actually been working with us for quite a while now. And we've got a good working relationship with them, and they'll be looking at the more complicated cases along with any enforcement notice appeals that we receive. Just a few other points that I wanted to raise it from the report. Just to point out that the current workload that we've seen so far this year, the number of cases that we received seems to be considerably higher than in previous years, and with it being 72. Obviously, with Alice leaving as well, the workload is quite high at the moment, but we're still sort of progressing cases as best we can with the resources that we have. In terms of the enforcement notices, an additional 2 notices since I wrote the report have been served. The first one was at Glegoth, the extensions that members will probably recall from earlier on in the year. And another enforcement notice has been served in respect of the erection of sheds at Daynant. Going on to the appeals, to advise, obviously we have got a public inquiry that is going to take place later on this year, and we've had the date set now for that for the 10th of September. Obviously that will take up quite a lot of resources from the section. Just moving on to the Welsh Government indicators, it was encouraging to see that there was an improvement with the investigated indicator in Q4. Obviously, further improvement is required for the positive indicator, and within the report, I've tried to explain the reason why the number of days on that might be high. Then going on in relation to the notable cases that I've added on there. With Nanai, we haven't had the report yet back in terms of the costings and the way forward to progress that. What I'm intending to do, that I'm expecting that we're going to get this anytime soon. So my thought was that I will provide members with an update at a future committee, obviously if we receive that for December, because that will be the next update that I would be reporting to you. So if we do get anything sooner, I will report that to members at a future committee. But basically, it's just to conclude that obviously the team were working extremely hard, despite what the indicators may suggest. I do personally, I don't think it provides a true reflection of what we actually do. And I will be reporting back to members in December. So in the meantime, I just respectfully request that members note the content of the report.
Thank you very much, Jane. Any comments from anyone? I've got a question. And any question? I know. Any question from anyone that would like to? Don't like to receive the report as it is. And there we have it. Apart from the appeals, we've got 2 appeals here. Thank you. We have a gweithgar to follow this. We'll have a quarter of an hour of a break, and then we'll rejoin. So those of you who are virtual, it's a different link to the first meeting. Okay, if you can follow that one in quarter of an hour, so 10:45. Thank you. Goodbye.
It's not my video, people,